Good morning. Japanese time. Can't you tell? Look at the sakura. Look at how beautiful it is. It's no longer in bloom, but since your buddy Valen Hark is a time traveler, he can just sit here in the beautiful springtime bloomage for the rest of eternity if he wants to. Yeah. Anyway, let's... Come on. You know the drill. We start off with vocab, and I'm going to tell you something. Today is going to be slightly harder for the vocab, but slightly easier for the practice. We're going to move on to renshu, aka practice C, if you're following along in the book. But we're going to continue going over vocab from chapter 2 so that we are ready to go once we get there. And today we're going to start off with a brain teaser here. We got magazine. You got to know how to say magazine. Come on. 2 parts. And both are split up vertically here, as you can see. Oh. There we go. 2 parts. And 2 parts for this one too. So before we even start writing, be careful. And how do we pronounce magazine in Japanese? Za and little tsu. So what do? We hold the tone here a bit. Zashi. And I want to show you just real quick to bring this point home. If we have a little tsu here, it's basically doubling up on whatever consonant is after it. So you would spell it in romaji like this. See what I'm saying? So if you ever see a double consonant like this in romaji, you know that the actual Japanese is using a little tsu somewhere. Well, specifically right before it, not somewhere. Right here. Okay? So it's not zashi, it's zashi. Okay? Zashi. Magazine. And we always check the stroke order. And you can see when I type it too, I say Z-A-S-S-H-I, and it'll automatically give me the little tsu. Spacebar, turn it into kanji. Should be the first one. If it's not, search your list. Boom. Let's go. Journal, magazine, periodical. Yeah, it could be used as like journal or periodical, but journal as in like, like scientific journal. Like, anyway, not your personal diary journal, is what I mean. Any kind of, like, publication journal. But most of the time, it's gonna just mean magazine. Okay? Click the first one. Let's check out the stroke order here. It's a little bit more difficult, but if you break it down, it's not that bad. It uses 2 parts that we've already practiced a lot of times. There's this top portion here and the bottom portion here. You should be good with that. Look, you can look at it in the exploded view here. It's probably easier. Just going to take a quick look at the animation here. Do you remember what that means, by the way, that top part? 9, remember? All right. This portion on the right, too, is often used in a lot of other kanji as well. So it's good to be getting practice in that right now, too. Let's go. Let's do the first portion here. My nice big fat illustrator stroke. Start off with the 9 portion up top here. Why is it 9? I don't know. Look, there's all sorts of ancient history behind why each part is what it is. That's for later on advanced classes. I'm not going to go over that right now, okay? We're just going to write the kanji right now, okay? And you can take a look at the exploded view like I just told you. Oh. Yeah. Now, very messy. Here's what we're gonna do. Boom. Perfect. And the second part, let's check it out. Click it. This right portion, not used as much, but this left portion is used in all sorts of different words. So, and as you can see, this part of the word magazine means document or record. So this attached to a lot of other stuff will have something to do with writing things down or being like a document or record or something. Let's take a look. Straightforward. Top left to bottom right, as they all do. And you'll notice here, when you're writing it more calligraphy style, you might opt to take that top stroke and make it more vertical, more of a slash rather than just a straight line. Either way is fine. Okay, this is more of a handwritten style, and you can see down here with this part. Remember where we used this last? I believe we used this in I love, because this little tiny portion here is kokoro, aka heart, right? And you can see it with the way they've written kokoro here in calligraphy style. It's a little bit different from up here too. It's more like italicized. Again, either way is fine. Okay. All right, let's go. I tend to write it more like horizontally like that, but like I just said, you could write it like that too. All right. Either way is fine. I want to stress one thing though. This second stroke here is longer than the rest of them. So you've got one longer, two, and then 3, 4, simple box down here. Okay. Then do the right portion. And remember, it has the heart down there. And there you go. Zashi. Magazine. Okay. Throw this into your rotation. What do we got next? Ooh. The strokes, they don't stop. They come in thick and hard, and they just keep pounding us. Okay, and the next one is shimbun. Shimbun, newspaper. Okay, you know how to say magazine? Why wouldn't you know how to say newspaper? Come on, common sense. Let's look it up. Oop. Shimbun, spacebar, there it is. Newspaper, and you can see here, the two kanji that comprise the word newspaper mean new and hear or ask or listen. Literally listening to the news, basically listening to what's new, which is interesting because it's not so much listening, it's more like reading, but I'm sure there's some kind of historical reason for that, which we're not going to go into. This one is very good to know though. This kanji is used in all sorts of words because it means new. You can even use it by itself, which is usually pronounced shin. And it's used in a lot of names of buildings. Well, the Shinkansen, any kind of like Shinkansen station usually has it somewhere in there. Shinkansen, by the way, is the bullet train. The super fast mechanical wonder of Japan, the bullet train. Anyway. Oh, yeah. This one's good to know, too. This is an adjective that you can easily create right now. It's not in a rotation yet, but just to show you right here, it would not be pronounced shin here. It would be pronounced as it says right here. Atarashi. Atarashi. Okay, and that is literally the adjective that means new. Okay, and remember, it's an E adjective because it ends in E, as in the Japanese character E. So you don't need na if you attach it to something. Let's say we want to say a brand new newspaper. Atarashi shimbun. Okay, new newspaper. That's what you're saying there. Anyway, that's not what we're here for. Take a look at how this kanji is written. The stroke order is as follows. This one's pretty straightforward too. Top left to bottom right as usual. All right, let's go. Remember I told you this is going to show up a lot. And we've got, again, 2 vertical pieces here. So I've made this one a little bit more thin rather than fat. Okay? And I want to make that point a little bit more clear right now, because if the whole kanji was just this, it would probably be more like this. You see, it's kind of hard to see the difference here, but this one is fatter than this one. You can see it's sticking out here in certain parts. And I probably could have made it even fatter than that, but just so you can see what I'm talking about every time I go over that verticality difference there, that's what's going on, okay? Let's continue here. We've got this, and technically these are 2 separate strokes here, but once you start writing a lot of people just put them into one like that. And then you finish it off with something like that, okay? And then the second part of the word, shimbun, newspaper, the second part is this right here. And I do believe we've gone over this for a quick second because if you turn this into a verb, if we say kiku, we are now saying the verb to listen. Okay, you can do that. Right here, though, the way we're using it right now is just this kanji as part of a noun, part of a word, shinbun, and it's pronounced bun in that case. And you can see it has all the different pronunciations this could possibly be read as right here in the kun readings and the on readings, right? The verb I just told you about is kiku. There it is right there. But we're using bun today as part of a shinbun. Let's take a look. Draw the little fancy gates. And then the little ear character in there. That's what that is, ear. Who would have known that ear would be part of listen? All right, let's go. Give yourself some space on this one. I'm using such a fat brush stroke that this is going to probably look terrible, but whatever. And then the horizontal strokes, and then the final horizontal, and that one, Kiku, okay? The most terribly drawn shinbun ever, but there it is, newspaper, okay? Throw newspaper into your rotation. Your buddy Valen hasn't written this word in a very long time, as he doesn't read the newspaper, he doesn't care about it, he lives in the year 2162, and we don't have newspapers here, okay? Sorry to say. Anyway, let's take a slight break from the difficult kanji, shall we? Let's move on to the easiest one for today. Notebook. You know it and you love it, and it's an example of a wase eigo. Remember I told you wase, Japanese style, eigo, English language, Japanese style English language, because it's pronounced noto, right? Remember when we have the nobashibo here, the nobas, it's holding the tone from the last character, so we're saying noto, noto. And this says here notebook, copybook, exercise book. Yeah, it's pretty much just notebook, okay? Would you say in Japanese noto book? I suppose you could, yeah, it's in there. But you're gonna find that in Japanese language, people don't like to say long words. And if it's a long word, they're gonna shorten it. A lot of even Japanese words are shortened, so you gotta get used to that. But noto, if you ever hear this, it's usually notebook, okay? The thing that you should be writing your rotation in, the notebook. Your notebook, okay? And that's just katakana. Come on, guys, you know this. Noto. Okay, notebook. Throw notebook into your notebook. And move on to the next one. We're back to kanji, okay? Told you today was going to be a little bit more on the heavy kanji side because we gotta power through it, okay? Next, on the subject of notebooks, we've got sounded out te ch o, right? Because why do we have cho? Why is this not te chi o? Because this yo is small. I know it's hard to see with this font, but it's small. Okay, it's more like, oops, more like that, right? See how tiny that yo is? That's how tiny it is here, okay? So we're saying techo. And techo means memo pad. And I put in parentheses here small because if you got like some big ass like yellow memo legal pad or something, I don't think people would call that techo. It's more like one of those more small little like hand notebooks, like you're listening to your boss shoot off instructions at 600 miles an hour and let me write that down on my techo. Let me write that down in my small memo pad of all the things that my boss says that I can't possibly keep up with. We've also got comma pocket scheduler because it can be used as that too. So you open up your little notebook, and maybe not only does it have the lines for you to write in, but also maybe towards the back it's got little calendars and little boxes that you can write your little information in. Boss told me to do this today, January 1st, 2162. And that boss is me, Valen Hark. I'm the boss of me, and I tell me what to do all the time. Techo. Let's see how it's written. Techo, space, boom. There it is. Notebook is not a good... See, Jisho, you're going to confuse beginners by writing this, because we just said noto is notebook, right? Memo pad or pocket diary. These two should be picked up and moved to the front of this list, not next to notebook. Technically, is it a notebook in English? Yeah, sure. But if we want to be specific, it's more like memo pad or a diary, right? All right. Anyway, the first part of techo is hand. Hey, because it fits in your hand, right? Te. So if you learned this kanji, you have learned a whole other vocabulary word. Congratulations, you learn how to say hand and right hand if you write te. Just like that. The only thing you have to be careful with this one is the top stroke starts from the top right and strokes down to the left, and the rest of them go from left to right. Okay, let's get it done. All right. Top right to bottom left for the first stroke. And you probably don't want it that big, but we're going big today. We're going big or we're going home. Te. Second part, cho. And let's just throw more confusion on the fire. Notebook is also written for this character. Just ignore this. Just ignore this stuff for now. You don't need to know that this specific kanji has these connotations, because you're only going to use it in words like techo. Ignore this. Don't worry about it. Just learn how to write it, okay? We're going to start off with this little dagger-looking thing on the left. There it is. And then give it the cho portion. And you might have to look at this exploded view, because this thing goes really fast, okay? Be careful with the second part of this. I often don't write it in the correct stroke order, but don't do what your buddy Valen does, okay? Try to do your best writing the correct stroke order, because that is the best way to do Japanese, okay? You start off with that vertical stroke, and then you do all of the horizontal lines for this top half, and then you do the bottom in a specific order. All right, let's, yeah, real helpful Valen, in a specific order. All right, let's go. Do the dagger thing. Don't do it like that. There you go. And then remember what I said, start with the vertical, then do 1, 2, 3 horizontals, and close it off. It's got this little key thing going on here. Come on down here. Then you might think you want to do this first. No. This first, and then that. Okay, techo. All right, let's move these guys together. They need to be a happy family here. Can we fix this? Thank you. I wish I could do the handwriting in notebooks. Techo. Throw it in your rotation. Okay. So far we've gone over magazine, newspaper, notebook, and memo pad / pocket scheduler. Okay, techo. Throw it in to the rotation. And okay, here's the last kanji for today, but it's very easy. You already know at least half of it. And why? Because it's meishi. And this first character, this business card, by the way, this first character you should remember way back when we did namae. That was the first portion of namae, aka name. First portion of namae went just like that. This one right here. So you might be thinking to yourself, you might be asking me, why isn't this shi? Because, what did I tell you a million times? Each kanji has several different readings, and depending on the word, whatever's coming after it or before it, whatever the word is, it's not always the same pronunciation. Sometimes it is. In this case, it is not. So, first of all, be careful of that. Second of all, go look it up. Meishi. This is actually very important, because if you live in Japan, you better have a meishi, aka business card, because boy, if you ever meet somebody, you better be busting out the business card right away. Everybody has a business card, and everybody likes to give them to each other. That's just the way it is here. So, Meishi is the word we're looking for. Do we need to look at this? Hopefully you have memorized by now, because namae was one of the first words that we went over. But here's a little refresher. Okay, top left to bottom right as usual. Straightforward. That is me in this case. And here it is. It even says na and me. And you even see here, there's sometimes it's also even pronounced myo. We're not going over that right now. Don't worry about it. All right. Well, let's just write it. Here you go. Me. In this case. And let's go over the second part. She. There you go. And I know I'm going over these quick. You, when you are doing it in your notebook rotation, you can take it slow. Okay? You can do it at your own pace, and it should be fine. So here is the she portion of meishi. Okay? Give yourself space. This is a two-parter vertically, right? So you see, we did not take up this much space. Let me move this over here. Look how much, just about half. See that? Because we want room to put the second portion of it, and there it is, okay? Here is business card, meishi. Throw it in to your rotation, okay? And then the last vocab for today. Easy, katakana, round it out. How many do we do today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you can do 6 in a day. And it's not even a day if you're following along with these classes live, because I'm giving you like a week, usually 2 weeks in between classes to get all of this memorized. So you should have no problem doing 6 of them in that time. You should be able to do at least 3 to 5 a day if you're really doing it seriously. And that only takes like, 20, 30 minutes. You can do it before bed. You can do it after you wake up, whenever you like. It doesn't matter. But anyway, what do we got here? Kado. You got the hold the tone marker in there, so be careful when you pronounce it. It's not kado, it's kado. And what does it mean? Card. Who would have guessed it? But it says here in parentheses, information, filing, etc. And it also could mean card, like as in a greeting card or congratulations or whatever. Western playing cards are usually called Trump. Not Mr. Donald Trump, no. Before he became popular, there's, the card game Trump. And for some reason in Japan, all card games somehow became referred to as Trump. So I wouldn't necessarily use this as playing cards, though I suppose you could. And the other one that's really popular for this is credit card. So, like, the word card has a lot of different usages. I wouldn't worry too much about, like, memorizing all of those right now. Okay, just these are the 2 that I think you should know for now. Card is in, like, information, like something is written on a card. Not your business card, we just did meishi for that. Anything else. And usually if you're at the store, you don't have to say credito card. If you're at the register, you could just say, yeah, I'm paying with my card. Okay, and that would mean credit card. All right, simple, straightforward, katakana. Card. Boom, throw it into the rotation. All right. And then take a breather, because we just did a boatload of vocabulary. Okay? Have you been breathing? Practicing your breathing exercises? Good, because it's time to move on. Let's keep going. We got limited time, and I got a lot to teach you. So we have moved on to Renshu C. Practice C. And the first one is right here. The first question. I've switched it up from the book, but the book goes over pretty much the same thing, so don't worry, as always. So first, let me explain what's going on here. And I want you to, when I tell you, for each question, you're going to pause and do it. If you're watching live, best of luck to you. But first, let me explain what's going on here. What have you got? Some kind of a construction worker here. And we're going to say that construction worker is person A, right? This lady here is person A. And she's saying, sound it out. If you don't remember the vocab, it should be in your rotation, but if you don't remember them, I have provided you with the hiragana above. Let's say you're still trying to memorize them through your rotation. That's fine. Anyway, she says, 失礼ですが、お名前は? Alright, what's she asking here? Remember, 失礼ですが is the phrase that we went over a class or two ago. That means, excuse me, but literally translated would be, this is rude, but it doesn't mean this is rude. It means, excuse me, right? お名前は? Hey, we just talked about this word. Name. And remember, if we want to be extra polite, we add like a kind of honorific marker before it. お名前は? Excuse me, could I have your name? Or it could be translated as, excuse me, what's your name? So let's say our beautiful cast of characters from last time. You know what? Bring them up. Show me them. Look, remember these guys? And these guys? Yeah, you do. Let's say that a couple of these guys wandered on over to her construction site, and she's not too sure if they belong there. So she's initiating conversation with them. Right? So this is A, and then in B is whoever she's talking to, right? Person A and person B. So you're going to look down here, and you're going to do this 4 times in your notebook. And what do I suggest? Just like I suggested last time, for each time you do it, I suggest writing it all out. And you might think, oh God, that's a lot of work. Well, learning Japanese is a lot of work, and you got to put in the work if you want to do it. So hey, I'm not the boss of you. Maybe you don't write all of this out. Well, that's your loss. Okay, I'm not going to get up in arms about it, but that's what I suggest you do. And look, if you read this, if you read each one and try to fill in each piece here, so if you fill in the first one into the first slot and the second one into the second slot, and then read what's being said in the last sentence here, you should be able to figure out what's going on and which word you should write here. Okay, because you'll notice I've only provided you with 2 words for each one. So how are you going to know what to put here? I'll tell you it's one of these 2 words. One of these 2 words is going to be used twice. So anyway, this is straightforward. And we're going to go over it. I'm going to give you the answers. But first, if you're watching this back and you want to write this down in your notebook, please press pause now. Okay, let's go with the answers. Boom. Answer number 1. What do we got here? 失礼ですが、お名前は? So she's asking him, excuse me, what's your name? Right? She wants to know why is he on her construction site? And he says, Taylor this. Right, this is Mr. Taylor, if you remember, our American hero. And so she replies with, Taira-san desu ka? Now, what's going on here? He said, my name's Taylor, and she says, Taira. Well, that sounds like Tyler, not Taylor, right? So she says, Taira-san, right? Remember, you would affix "san" to a name as long as it's not yourself. If you're talking about somebody else, you want to give them a "san" to be, properly polite about it. And then she asks, she's got the is bucket here, right? Desu ka? And she's asking a question. Is? So she's asking, Mr. Tyler is question mark, but Japanese grammar is backwards. So what she's really asking, translated into native English, is, well, just simply put, Mr. Tyler? So what do we write down here? Because you can see right away, what does he respond with? He's B and she's A, right? What does B respond with? What's this word here? いいえ No No Tailor いいえ Tailor です And another important point here, I know you probably know what's going on here, but notice we did not put sang here because he's referring to himself. You're not going to give yourself sang because that's giving yourself an honorific. It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit pompous, remember? So, to sum it all up, she asks, excuse me, what's your name? 失礼ですが、お名前は? Taylor です。平さんですか? いいえ、Taylor です。Right, he's just saying, get it right. My name is Taylor, not Tyler, okay? So if you figured that out, you should be A-okay for number 2. What happened here? 失礼ですが、お名前は? シモンです。シモンです。Is that how she sounds? I don't know. シモさんですか? いいえ、シモンです。Alright, so she's given her name, she's getting it wrong, she's correcting it. That's what's going on here. Okay, this is good practice for using 失礼ですが and お名前は and also giving names and ultimately correcting them when people screw them up because they will if you're using a foreigner's name. It's just gonna happen eventually. So there you go. Let's move on. There you go. 失礼ですがお名前はベッカです。ベイカさんですか? いいえ、ベッカです。Hang on, I gotta take this. He's always on the phone. I don't know. You know why? He's a high-powered German businessman. Okay? Mr. Becker, not Mr. Baker. Come on. And last but not least, what do we got here? 失礼ですが、お名前は? Young です。ヤムさんですか? いいえ、Young です。Alright, so her name is not Yum. But she's okay with it. It's adorable. Yum is okay. Alright, so there's your answers to all of these for the first practice here. Fairly straightforward conversation once you get the hang of it, yeah? So you can practice these two phrases and giving your name. Alright, good. Question number 2. Same deal. We're going to do this conversation here 4 times. And you see we've got 2 words here. Very easy to fill out. And I'm going to throw in a wild card here at the end. I'm not even going to read it this time. This time, let's give you a little challenge. Go ahead and do the conversation between person A and person B here for each question here, right? Slot these into here. And you should have no problem just writing this here. It's written here, right here for you. There's nothing to think about. But what I want you to think about while you're writing is what is actually being said and why. Okay? And be careful with the 4th one. This one might be difficult for you. You might have to look up a word on Jisho. So there's some good practice for you, okay? So go ahead and do this in your notebook now. Go ahead and pause right here. Okay. Let's go over the answers, shall we? Number 1. So what's being said here? はじめまして. Smith です. Okay. Remember I told you this is nice to meet you that I don't recommend you use, but the book does recommend you use it, so we are using it. はじめまして. Nice to meet you. Smith です. I'm Smith. Because you usually use your last name, okay? イギリス. Okay, remember, イギリス can be used as England or United Kingdom. Sorry, people from there, that's how it is in Japanese. から来ました. So we know when we have this phrase here, and we use a country name with から来ました, what are we saying? I'm from that country. So, nice to meet you, I'm Smith. I'm from the UK. よろしくお願いします. Here's the MVP all-time all-star phrase for you. yoroshiku onegai shimasu, because this one is the versatile phrase used a million times a day in all sorts of different situations. It could be nice to meet you after you're introducing yourself for the first time instead of hajimemashite, because that's how I think it should be used. Hajimemashite is not often used. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu is used all the time, at all times, forever. But it doesn't only mean that. It could also mean looking forward to working together. Let's say you stood up at the end of a meeting and you said to your compatriots around the table, yoroshiku onegai shimasu, saying looking forward to working together, etc., etc. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Should be a review. We went over it last time. So what does person B say? Takahashi desu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. So she's just responding. So what can we glean from this information here? Mr. Smith has introduced himself, and Miss Takahashi, or Mrs., I don't know if she's married, who knows, has in kind responded with her own self-introduction. A simpler one, just her name and yoroshiku onegai shimasu. And she says, I'm Takahashi. Nice to meet you. We're looking forward to working together, right? That's what yoroshiku onegai shimasu is. So that is number 1 there. Okay, let's go do number 2. What did you write? Did you get it right? Hajimemashite. Sasaki desu. Nihon kara kimashita. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. And person B says, Takahashi desu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Okay. Miss Sasaki here says that she's from Japan while talking to a Japanese person. She would probably never say Nihon kara kimashita if she's talking to a Japanese person. But let's just say, for some reason, Takahashi-san, I don't know, she doesn't look Japanese or something, and Miss Sasaki said this to her. Miss Takahashi would probably say, Nihonjin desu. I'm Japanese. That probably would have happened there, but look, guys, this is just an example out of a textbook, okay? Just roll with it, okay? She's saying, nice to meet you, I'm Sasaki. I'm from Japan. Looking forward to working together. I'm Takahashi. Looking forward to working together. Nice to meet you. Okay. Same thing for number 3. Okay, we've got Miss Lee, aka Lee in Japanese, alright? Hajimemashite. Lee desu. Tai kara kimashita. She's from Thailand, right? Tai kara kimashita. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Takahashi desu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Okay. And so let's see. Number 4, what did I ask you to do here? Did you figure it out? It's pretty easy. Anata. Well, what is anata? Remember, that means you. And we know that no is the possessive particle, right? So whenever we have anata no, we're saying your. What's this? Your namae, your name. And anata no kuni, your country. Okay, and I told you earlier we don't like to use anata, but if you don't know, like, here's a good example of when you would use anata. If I don't know who I'm talking to right now because I'm live and there's a bunch of people that I don't know their names or whatever looking at me and I'm talking to them, I have no choice but to use anata, you. Okay, so that's why it's used here. If I knew your name, I would say it, but then that would also be weird, saying your name and then no namai. Anyway, what did I want you to do for number 4? I wanted you to write your own name and country. Okay, and you might have to figure out how to write your name. Some names are in Jisho and some are not. If you have a more, I don't want to say rare, but a less common name, like on the global scale, it might not be in Jisho, and then you might have to figure it out using katakana, right? And if you can't, drop me a line, I'll help you out. I can tell you what your name is just by looking at it. Okay. And your country, if we haven't gone over it yet, it should be in there in the dictionary, so look it up. All right. Look, your buddy Valen. Here's what I would say. I would say, Hajimemashite. Haku desu. Mirai kara kimashita. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Okay. You want to know what this means? Go ahead and look it up. only spitting truth and facts over here on my show. Okay, let's turn this off. Let's get out of here. Do we have time? Yeah, all right. Let's just blast through it. Okay. Number 3. Last one for you for today. Okay. Let me set the scene here for you. We're in the boardroom. You are a brand new employee, and your boss here, this lady here, she's introducing you to your coworkers here, right there. And they want to know who you are. They're looking over at you. Hey there. So she's person A. She's introducing you, and you are person B. Whoever you are in each of these questions here. We've got 3. Okay, and you might see a pattern here that we've gone over. So I want you first to try this on your own. I'm not going to explain anything yet. Okay? Try this on your own. Now, go ahead and pause right here. Okay, perfect timing with the music. We're back. Let's look at the answers for number 3. What do we got? Number 1. Minasan. All right. Minasan. You know, this is Minna is everyone, and you usually put san after it to be polite, right? Minasan. Kochira wa. Remember kochira wa? This is. So she's referring to you. She's saying everyone. This is Paolo Shiruba desu. This is, and you didn't. I don't think we went over the fact that his first name, Mr. Silva, his first name is Paolo. Okay, there you go, Paolo Silva. In Japanese, Paolo Shiruba desu. You know, I don't think the book actually wrote san here. Kochira Paolo Shiruba-san desu. I probably would put san there. I don't know why, because she's referring to you. So that would be kind of rude to not put it there. But then again, what did I tell you about being a foreigner in Japan? Some people just never put san after your name. It's like it's almost reserved only for Japanese people, which is that's kind of racist. Kind of a little bit. But don't let it get you too worked up, because you'll be angry all the time, like your buddy Vale, if that gets to you. Let's not get into that. All right, so let's move on to you as Paolo Silva. Say, you respond, Ohayou gozaimasu. Oh, well, we know it's the morning, because he's responded with, good morning. Ohayou gozaimasu. Shiruba Paolo desu. Shiruba Paolo desu. And what has he done? Maybe he's lived in Japan for 20 years, and he is just tired of the things that people do to foreigners here. You'll notice that he's given his name as Japanese people would do it. Last name first, as you should. This Japanese person introducing him has introduced him as first and then last, but he's like, oh, no. And he doesn't directly say it. He's being kind of passive-aggressive about it. And he puts his name last first, signaling to these Japanese people, any Japanese people around him, hey, don't do that. Do my last name first. All right, I live here. I pay taxes. I sleep in a futon. Okay, come on. And then he says, NFT no kenkyusha desu. All right, remember he works for the company NFT, and he is a researcher. Kenkyusha. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Looking forward to working to you, or with you, or nice to meet you, right? However you want to translate it. All right, so that was him. What else we got? Number 2. Minasan, kochira wa Yui Ri desu. And you probably want san in there. Come on. Yui Ri-san desu. Ohayou gozaimasu. Oh, excuse me. Ohayou gozaimasu. Yui Ri desu. And so what's happened here? They're both the same, because some foreigners here in Japan either have just accepted the fact that they're never going to have their name done as a Japanese person would do it, and they don't care anymore. And so they've reached the acceptance part of the grief stages and just said it the exact same way. You do this. Okay, so that's why sometimes you might have it backwards and sometimes it's forwards, okay? It's just the way it is here. And she also says, Thai Air no shain desu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Okay, remember she works for Thai Air, right? Thailand, probably airlines, right? Shain, company employee, right? And what did I want you to do for number 3? Well, you probably figured it out if you looked at the last question. Anata no namae. And, oh, you had to probably look this word up. And I gave you the hiragana there, so you can type it out. Shigoto. Because we have not gone over shigoto. What is shigoto? Work. Or could also be used as job, depending on the context, right? So I wanted you to write out your name and your work. All right, your buddy Valen went ahead and did that for himself, of course. Minasan, kochira wa Valen Haku-san desu. Ohayou gozaimasu. Haku desu. Time traveler desu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Okay, that's what I am. I mean, it's my job at this point. So, anyway, that wraps up the practice for today. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson because I got more for you coming in the future. We are progressing along. And for some of you, this might be like, this is boring. I want to learn how to... When are we going to get to the lesson where I learn how to say, I challenge you to a battle? And I want to tell my opponents that I will defeat him using my skills as a Blades Master Man. Okay, look. You gotta learn the baby stuff first, guys. You gotta learn basic sentence structure, basic vocab. You gotta go over the same phrases over and over again. Sometimes you're gonna throw in stuff from the last class. You gotta get through it, and you will be... Look at my face. You will be glad that you did when you move on to more advanced stuff, because you have built a foundation, a solid foundation that allows you to continue studying Japanese and getting to those higher levels, okay? You will get there, I promise you. Learning a language, especially learning Japanese, takes time. And you have to be willing to sit down every time and write all of this in your notebook, speak it, practice speaking, practice thinking about what it means if you want to progress, okay? I know that some of you out there have been doing a very good job of that. I've seen screenshots of your work, and I love it. So keep that up. And what do we got here? I want to say thank you to some folks here. Thank you to Elohim, or is it Elohim? And thank you to One Caliph One. Produced by Tyler. Mystery Mayhem. Halanak. Free Z21. And DM90 Kid. Thank you all. Much appreciated. I will be coming at you live again shortly, and I will be getting up some more videos from out here in northern Japan in your time in 2021, when I'm just out here enjoying not being in the wastelands of 2162. How would you say unemployed in Japanese? Unemployed, yeah. Mushoku would be the kanji, the actual vocabulary word for it. Produced by Tyler would like to know how to say unemployed. There it is. Actually, mu, this kanji right here, you know what? We're not going to close out the show yet. I'm going to show you this. Mushoku. Let's go. There you go. This kanji right here literally means nothing, or not, or nil. Ain't. Who put that in there? I guess. Yeah, sure. This is a good one to know. It's pronounced either nai, or if it's part of a word, it's usually pronounced as mu. Okay. So, produced by Tyler, that one's just for you, pal. And in perfect lockstep with the music, we're going to close out here. Produced by Tyler, thank you very much for stopping by and for asking a good question. And that will wrap it up for today. Produced by Tyler says, have a great day. You have a great day. The rest of you, have a great day. And take care.